and does not have a duty to retreat in any place, this is something else that I really like about this, in any place he or she has a lawful right to be if either of the following applies. And it talks here about he or she reasonably believes that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. If this guy walked into a gunfight, that was not the case. Under the circumstances, so on and so forth. So, I mean, this guy, I don't know, I wouldn't, if I was an attorney, I wouldn't want to represent that guy. I mean, the stupidity of that situation is just, it would just baffle me. Now, if all the cops get shot dead, and then you want to get in the fight, you know, I mean, one might be able to make an argument for that.
That's kind of what I was thinking, the 1 in a million, the really, really far out.
And if you do shoot somebody by accident, you miss your target, I mean, you're looking at potential there for civil and stuff like that. I mean,
oh yeah. No,
the way you just read there, does that expand the castle law similar to the one that they've got in Texas, where if you're on your property, you're then covered?
The way we drafted it is, the first way I'd answer that is you have no duty to retreat anywhere you're lawfully have a right to be. So if you're lawfully on the sidewalk in North Carolina as of December 1, you have no duty to retreat. Previously, you would probably argue that you have a duty to retreat before you would, because you could.
Yeah.
So that's the first change. So, but the way our castle doctrine is drafted, if being on your property, let's say you're on your farm, okay, right. You're not in your home. You have a lawful right to be there, but you're not in your home, and you're not in a workplace as we've defined a workplace, and you're not in a motor vehicle. Okay, I would say that the castle doctrine doesn't technically apply. What applies is you don't have a duty to retreat, and then what the law has, all the castle doctrine does, let me put it this way, all the castle doctrine does is create a presumption that you are in fear for your life. Okay? Now, if you're on your property and you're not in, and the castle doctrine doesn't apply, you still have the right to use self-defense if you are reasonably in fear of your life, of great bodily harm or for your life. So if you are come across, let's say we're in North Carolina, but let's just say we're in Texas, and we come across the drug smugglers, illegal immigrants who are coming across the border, and I'm confronted with a very dangerous situation using the North Carolina law. I don't think that I would be able to presume that I'm in fear for my life just by the fact that I'm there and that they're there. But if they are doing something like pulling their guns out, you know,
they're showing aggressive behavior.
Yeah, they're showing aggressive behavior. And, you know, there's a million different fact patterns that could exist. But let's assume they are doing something that would put any reasonable person in saying, "Oh my gosh, they're going to kill me because they're afraid I'm going to tell the DEA or something." Okay, absolutely, you got a reasonable fear for your life. You can defend yourself. Okay, and you have no duty to retreat. You don't have to retreat first before you establish that. Okay, and that's the thing about retreat is that people. You know, what's retreat? How far do you have to retreat? How much retreating do you have to do before you're then safe to employ deadly force and not have to worry about being prosecuted for it? You don't have time to think through those things, and that was one of the things about, you know, in other states, and I can't name them, but in other states they've had the doctrine that you had a duty to retreat even in your own home, and that, to me, that's insanity. You know.
So imagine you're in your own home, the guy kicks in your front door. And you're sitting there watching TV. The guy kicks in your front door. You scurry off into the bedroom. You lock the door between the bedroom and the bad guy, right? He starts kicking in the door, and in this particular state, wherever it is, I'm like him. I can't recite the states, but you are actually expected and legally required to climb out the window. If you can't climb out the window because you got a double hang window or something. Imagine grabbing a chair from your bedroom or something, throwing it through the glass to evacuate your home to go call law enforcement from the neighbor's house. The insanity of that just is what baffles everybody that believes in the Second Amendment.
So does that answer your question about your property? I mean, I would say, you're out on your farm, 500 yards from the house. I do not think the castle doctrine applies. The presumption doesn't kick in. Okay, that doesn't mean you don't have self-defense. It doesn't mean that everybody, from the law enforcement to the DA to the jury, would say, "Yeah, I would be scared too." But he's exactly right. When you talked about misdemeanors pointing a gun, I got a client right now who thought he was being carjacked, and all he did was show his weapon and say, "I'm armed, get away from me," and he's got a charge. I think we'll deal with it, but anyway, it's a serious thing. So
the other thing to keep in mind is too, you're on your property. Okay, how far is this guy away from you? When does he become a threat? That's really kind of where, if he's 100 feet from you, he may not be a threat to you. But if he's at 50 feet, is he a threat? Is he at 30 feet? If he's at 20 feet, I guarantee you he's a serious threat. Most law enforcement, when they go through their training, they're basically told at 20 feet, you can lock and load. Okay? And the main reason is because a person can cover 20 feet pretty quick. Everybody has to make up their own mind at what point is that bad guy, a threat. And from that point, then you start making your judgment. And you got to think through this process. It's not to instill fear in you and stuff like that. It's not to make you a worrywart or get you all spun up. Every time somebody walks within 20 feet of you, it's not to get you so scared of them that you're starting to go for it. You know what I'm saying? But you need to make up your own mind, okay, if this happens, then I'm going to react this way. And you need to start thinking that way. In a lot of these classes, one of the classes I teach also is called Refuse to be a Victim. And it basically just kind of tries to open up the mindset. It's an NRA class, and it just tries to help people kind of put together, what is it that I need to be thinking about when I'm at home? What do I need to do? How do I need to handle this situation? If I'm sitting in the living room, and quite frankly, everybody here, if you have kids at home, do your kids know where to go in your house if they hear some banging going on and you think a bad guy's in the house? Because the last thing you want to do is be peeking out from your bedroom door with a shotgun and then have a kid run across the hallway trying to get to their brother or sister's room while you're pointing that shotgun down there at the bad guy who's coming in to steal or whatever. Okay, so in your own home, you need to start defining, okay, once they cross this line, once they get off the dining room floor into the living room, because our bedrooms are maybe back over here, that's where I know, hey, that's roughly 20 feet. Once they cross that line, game on. And I'm going to respond in this way. And my wife is going to get on the phone. I'm going to be in with the gun. My wife's going to be on the phone. The kids are going to be hiding under their beds, in their closets, whatever. But have a plan and communicate that plan to your kids. So that if a bad guy shows up, you know how everybody knows where everybody is. And the kids know to stay away from their bedroom doors. The kids know to lock the bedroom doors if they have locks on their doors. What kind of door do you have on the front of your house? Do you have a solid wood door? Do you have a hollow core door? You know, how easy is it to kick in a hollow core door? Some people can put their fist through a door and really, now solid core door is not going to have that same effect. I mean, it's going to take a big old pipe to get through that door. These are some things you just need to start thinking about, because unfortunately we live in this environment where these thugs are just kind of running rampant. And I don't know if you heard recently, there was a sheriff, it was actually just, I believe, last week. There was a sheriff in South Carolina, I don't remember the name of the town. Spartanburg?
Yeah.
He was in like in a news conference kind of a deal. And he said some things that did not make the media happy. Basically, they're having a lot of crime, a lot of rapes and stuff like this in that area. And he basically, if I don't have it memorized, but basically my paraphrase is, the justice system is failing us. I want to encourage you all to go get your concealed carry permit and be able to defend yourself. He wasn't saying let's turn this whole place into Dodge City. And evidence supports, I mean, you look at any of these states, countries, even Australia. What happened to Australia when they took the firearms away from the civilians? Crime rate went through the roof because only the bad guys had firearms. England had the same thing. England did some stuff like that, and the college students were in such fear for their life, they were literally putting plates and pans and stuff inside their clothing to keep from getting stabbed. Okay, that's what happens when you take Second Amendment and you flush it away. When you don't allow your civilians to be able to defend themselves. The criminals take over. And I want to thank you. If no, I think 650 is a great step forward. I really do.
Thank you.
That's what you sent me there to do, so I'm just doing my job.
Not too long ago, the guy robbed a 7-Eleven store. The lady let him take the money, and she says the police will be here. He turned around and called her a bitch. When he turned toward her, she had a .38 and she castrated him. The police got there and they says, she did a good job.
Go ahead.
This may be a crazy thing to say, but several years ago I took a gun course. And this lady in class asked the instructor, said, now, you know, back then, I don't know if they had concealed weapons, you know,
Right.
Whatever it was called. Anyway, she said, now, I carry a gun in my purse, and is it considered concealed? And he said, when you open your purse, it's not concealed. And that's all he said.
That was the sheriff's department.
It was sheriff.
You know, one of the things that I talk about in one of the other classes, like personal protection outside the home, which is kind of the next step beyond. It's like, okay, you've got your concealed carry permit. Now, let's think about what we're going to do. And in this particular class, it's a 2-day class, and you go through like 300 rounds of ammo. I mean, we are shooting from the sitting position. You're shooting from behind barricades. You got multiple targets, all this kind of stuff. I have to teach. Imagine my wife. I said, honey, can I borrow your purse? Because I, as an instructor, have to teach these, you know, females how to shoot from a purse. Think about what we talked about. If you reveal a firearm and act like you're getting ready to use it, it's a misdemeanor. It could end up being a felony, I think, pretty quick. Okay, so imagine you've got your firearm in your purse. If you just stick your hand in there, I mean, I've got women that have come to me and said, well, you know, I think you guys got all the best gigs if you just got it right there. Like, wait a minute. It's exposed. As soon as I pull that shirt up or that coat, it's exposed. Now, I'm looking at potential legal consequences just for that right there. You guys have got this purse. That firearm is sitting right there in your purse. You reach in there, you grab it, and you point it. If the bad guy's standing right there, most people, if you practice just a little bit, you're going to be able to shoot right through the bottom of your purse, and he never even seen it. So there's some things there to consider. I don't think a lot of people really think that through very well. I mean, granted, there's other stuff in that purse too, but shooting through the bottom of that purse, if your life is in danger, your life is in danger, shoot through the bottom of the purse. I mean, yeah, you can. I can teach you how to pull from a purse and all that kind of stuff, but I'm telling you, you'd be better off just to stick your hand in there and lock it, right, boom, right there. Be done with it. Oh yeah, that's definitely considered concealed. If that was the question, I misunderstood. That is definitely considered.
When you open your purse, it's not concealed anymore, so everything's okay.
This is concealed.
I would say that's concealed from what I've seen in cases and prosecutions. I would
this is
consider
open.
that concealed.
This is open. This is open. I mean, this is open right here.
It's always easier
It's
to
open
talk
if
to
you can
12
see any of
than
it.
have 6 to carry.
Now, if I've got, say I've got this shirt, I don't expose anybody. If I've got this shirt over here like this, it's concealed. Now, it may be what they call printing a little bit. You might be able to see a shape of it if I move just right. And that's where people can get in trouble too. If you, for instance, if you stick it in the back of your belt and you bend over, you know, like the plumber's thing, you know.
Nice.
You know, I mean, you didn't need that picture, did you? At any rate, but it is concealed. If it's visible, if any part of it is visible, it's open. Okay. So if it's concealed, it has to be out of sight, nobody can see it. If it's in your purse, it's concealed.
But if you open that purse then, and people see it, then it becomes, or not?
You mean if it's just laying there?
Draw it out of the purse.
If it's in your purse, it's concealed. Now, if you just happen to have your purse open on your lap, and you've got this sitting right there on your lap, and I just happen to glance over and see it, well, I think technically that's open.
I think what I would say too, let me say this as if I was talking to a client who's asking these questions. Finding out exactly where the line is probably not a good idea. You know, if it's, I would say if it's sticking up out of the top of your purse and I could see it, if your purse was sitting on the table and I could see it from here, then I think you got a good case to argue it's not concealed. Okay, but if it's down in your purse, even if you've unzipped the top of it, I think that's concealed. I mean, if you came to me being charged with that and that's what had happened, I'd say we got a problem. We're going to have to see what we work out.
If it's in the bottom of most women's purses, it is concealed.
Right. Absolutely.
Shooting to the bottom would be the hard part. Finding the gun.
Okay, are there other questions?
Got one back here.
Okay.
What if a lady is walking along and she's got the gun in her hand, but it's down in her pocket? You're not seeing the gun, but her hand is in the pocket.
That's concealed. That's concealed. And again, as long as you're on your own property, it doesn't matter. But if you get off of your property, you have to have a concealed carry permit.
You got to clear one point up for you.
Okay.
The guy came out of the dining room, went to the living room. He's a threat.
Oh yeah.
You got your gun on him.
As soon as he comes in your house, if he's not legally authorized to be in there, he's
Okay, you got your gun on him. Your wife's on the phone.
right.
She's calling the carpet cleaner.
Good question. But in reality, she's calling 911 because I want that recording, so that the attorney, when I call my attorney after I shoot the guy and I get law enforcement en route, I can present, hey, we got it on 911. Now, I had just one other guy ask a question. He was like, I was on one of those gun forums or whatever like that, or actually I think there was sometimes in these magazines, they'll have like there's an attorney who all he does is like self-defense shooting, defense cases and stuff like that. And if I hate to say that, but anyways, this guy got the information. He was supposed to call his attorney first before he even called law enforcement. Now, I don't think that's the right way to handle that. First, you want to get 911 headed there with an ambulance. Because if you don't do that, it's going to look bad on you when it comes to trial. You can call your attorney, and hopefully you've got an attorney, you have his number handy, as soon as you get off the phone with 911 and before law enforcement gets there or whatever. But depending on the scenario, you may have that guy down on the floor, you may be holding on him right there. But that was one thing that I was troubled by the guy's question, because I was like, wait a minute, you're going to call the attorney before you call? I don't think a jury's going to look positively on that.
One more question. Okay, you're going out of your house. Your property is up to a certain point. and then it becomes city property.
up to the right of way, which is normally where the telephone pole is,
Okay, but say your mailbox is out there on city property,
in the right of way.
and you've got the gun, where's that gun supposed to be? Once you go into that area of the city property, where's that gun supposed to be? Outside where everybody can see it?
And you do or
You
don't
don't
have,
have a concealed weapon.
if you're gonna, I don't know, if you're gonna just walk to your mailbox, and you're on the right of way, but, I mean, what's the big deal?
But nothing, that's.
Just get back on your own property before the cops get there.
Let me chime in if you don't mind. I think that's one of those where's the line questions. It's a real good where's the line question. I mean, that's a very practical scenario where you could yeah. The right of way is simply the right of the state to access your property. So my legal argument, if you were my client and somebody was trying to charge you with that, carrying a concealed carry permit, and then carrying a concealed weapon off of your property, my argument was you were on your property. Just because the city has the right to use your property doesn't mean it's not your property anymore. So, I mean, look, if a person, in my opinion, if a person feels like they need to carry a weapon with them to go to the mailbox because of their living circumstances or whatnot, I would carry it.
Well, whenever you have your property surveyed for buying it, does it go all the way to the street?
No,
Not necessarily.
it depends. It all depends.